Assalamu alaikum. I'm sitting outside recording in the beautiful Florida rain. It's about 5:30, and I'm doing this as a YouTube video because I tried to make it a live or a short, but sadly I don't know how. I looked it up on Google. How can I do a live? And they told me what to do on my Android phone, but then I didn't find the buttons to push that they told me would be there. You know, this is really an ongoing issue, so I just had something I wanted to say. And it has to do with the assassination, so-called, of, I don't even want to say his name, I'm fasting, but we all know who we're talking about. And there's so many different reports from all over the world telling you that, yes, indeed, it's true. And then there are other conflicting reports from podcasters who are well known and respected, not willing to accept the fact that it's true. So I decided to let you recall the lesson I just posted a couple of hours ago, where Allah says in Surah Al-Isra that the lies can never force out the truth. And the words in Arabic are جاء الحق وزهق الباطل إن الباطل كانت زهوقا. It means all lies are bound to fall, and then all truth is bound to prevail. So now in our last days of the 10 best days at the end of Ramadan, I don't want you to be concentrating on this subject. And you might say, well, aren't you looking it up? Aren't you curious? Yes, I am curious. And I just want to stop being curious and remind myself that it's going to end. And as I look out on this beautiful vista of the trees in front of me, and I hear the rain, and the palm trees are swaying with a very slight breeze, all is well in my world. So if I can just sit here and put away, let's say, the media, because that is, or they are the main culprit, and they always have been, because the lies have been prevailing. But I do want to give you a little bit of an update, because that is really what I'm doing. Yes, I'm doing mainly religious subjects, but I have to branch out now and then because I feel that I'm a type of a reporter, journalist, American person for those people who follow my channel and maybe are not, maybe are not up on things. No, they aren't up on things. But I want to let you hear some good news that I read, and I know it's true. Shall I give you the old vernacular? Yes, why not? We call it my old stomping grounds. It's one of the ways we used to describe where we hung around when we were in high school and college, or mostly high school. And we hung around on Mass Ave, Massachusetts Avenue, which would begin where I lived, Arlington, and go through Cambridge and right into Boston. And the whole length of the whole thing was like 5 miles, 6 miles. So even though I was born and raised and lived in Arlington, actually I was born in Winchester, the next town, but Arlington, Cambridge was more my stomping grounds. So one of my favorite places to hang out, don't laugh, but it's the truth, Widener Library of Harvard University. The university library that had more books than any other library in America. I don't know how many millions back then, but I could literally hop on a bus from Arlington Center, ride 15 minutes, and be right at the gates of Widener Library. And in those days, oh my goodness, it was like another planet. There were no checks. There were no suspicions. The country was beautiful. There were no incidents. There was no violence. Everyone trusted everyone else. And when you think about it, Harvard Yard, you could just walk in the big iron gates right off Mass Ave, go inside. Nobody cared were you a student there? Did you belong there, quote unquote? No. Freedom. So when you walked in the gate, they had many gates, but the one that lets you go straight into the quadrangle, they used to call it, everything, it was like set out in rectangular or square spaces. And Widener Library was right inside the gate. And it was a beautiful place. And you could walk up these many stairs, go inside, and literally wander about. And you didn't have to be a Harvard student. As a matter of fact, if I recall, and now we are talking over 50 years, maybe over 60 years, they didn't even ask you for an ID. You go to the card catalog and you look up the subject matter, and then they would give you the reference number, and you could go find what you wanted. And if you couldn't, a very nice librarian would help you. Where am I going with this? Well, here's the good news. A relative of Epstein, who ran some big building of Harvard, has now been shunned, exiled, whatever. His building is not allowed anymore to bear the name Wexner at Harvard. Now, ordinarily I wouldn't care about names of buildings or what they signified or who owned them, but I was very happy today when I saw that post coming straight from Harvard and Cambridge saying Mr. Wexner no longer has any say on this campus for any reason because of his connection to Mr. Epstein. You see, that's why I started by saying Ja al-Haq wa Zahaq al-Batil. The truth will come and prevail. And that's the message I want to send today, because there's still a lot of tragic incidences, violence, etc. And the media hypes it to make you anxious and hopeless and sad and angry and all of those bad things. But if you just have a few minutes, and here I'm telling you to do what I never do. I'm always reading and staying inside, but I do take little walks every day, even if it's only 10 minutes, even if it's only around the yard, just to look at the trees and smell the fresh air and not be reading, because reading is bad for my eyes and bad for my posture. And you know, it's not good for you to sit. They say never sit for more than 20 minutes without walking around. I know it, but I never do it because I get involved and it's interesting. But I want to show you something. Now, I'm almost 80, as you know, so this is not, I don't want to say anything, I'm fasting. I only have two more hours, and it's going to be iftar. But I want to do this because it is kind of causing me concern that one of my eyeballs has recently started turning. So from my perspective, this eye turns to the right, and the blue part is not in the center like the other eyeball. So I'm going to put my eyes up close, and I know there are little black spots on each one, but I don't know what it is, but they don't float and they stay there. So this eye has a smaller one and this eye has a larger one. So the one with the larger one, I want you to look now. Can you see, I'm going to open my eyes real big. Can you see how this eye, the blue part's in the center? Now, look at this eye. It's not in the center. It's shifting this way. I'm not going to worry about it because I know I have bad vision, and I've had glasses since I was 9 years old. So I've never had good vision. However, this one is a new one for me, the shifting business. Now, let me tell you something else I learned through reading this week. See my eyes? People would always call them blue, and I knew they weren't really blue. They were a combination of blue and gray. But I'm still always identified blue, and you have to check it on your, whatever those things you do with the hair color, eye color. I just put blue. Well, this week somebody did a research on the mixture of the Irish, original Irish, with those Celtic Viking types. And this story said that the Irish people, those who were the original Irish, which is me, when they mixed with Vikings, their eyes developed a blue-gray tone. And it's said that they are the only ethnicity that have these color eyes. Other people have normal blue eyes, normal green eyes, normal gray eyes, normal brown eyes. But this particular strain, they use that word DNA. I hate all these aphorisms. Just, what's a DNA anyway? And then they talk about all these strands, and then they want the spit from your mouth. No, I'm not going to do any of that. Allah created you in the best form, and you are what you're supposed to be. But they do say blue eyes predominate. So if there's a blue-eyed person and a brown-eyed person, the blue eyes are going to predominate. I don't know if I believe all this, but I know my mom had hazel eyes, and my dad had blue eyes. And all of the children had blue eyes, except my sister. And she had brown eyes. So my sister would always, and she was the last one born, and she would always, I don't know if she's joking or just being smart aleck, or she'd always say, I know I'm adopted. I'm the only one in this family that has brown eyes. And neither of you have brown eyes. Dad has blue eyes, and Mom has hazel eyes. And she'd go on. And we'd all say, don't be ridiculous. You look just like Dad, and you have this giant head, because my dad has a very big head, and none of us do except my sister. Well, one of my brothers a little bit, but she had the same giant head and the same, just her hands, her feet, just like my dad. So when I became a Muslim, I heard and read that this kind of, you would call a genetic anomaly, used to cause problems, as it does now and back then as well. People would doubt the paternity of someone who didn't seem to look like other members of the family. But Prophet Muhammad in Hadith, and I'm sorry I can't quote it right now, but I'm sure there are those who are listening to me who perhaps know, and they might add in the comments, that it is a known thing in Islam through Hadith that these things come from what we would call a regressive gene that can go back generations in the blood. Now, as I told you before, I'm not scientifically acute. As a matter of fact, I never liked science, and I still don't. Just something in me, I don't know. I can't really seem to, I don't know. And my sheikh said, no, you have to. And I remember saying, no, I don't like it. And he said, learn it. May Allah rest his soul in peace. Sheikh Fawzi Saeed, Asad al-Tawheed, Masjid al-Tawheed, in an area called Ghamra, in downtown Cairo, not far from the main railway station, on the metro line, called Ghamra. So of course, Sheikh Fauzi's passed. Of course, the government took over his masjid and gave it to Al-Azhar. The masjid he built, and some of his Salafi friends, like 30 years ago, and then, well, I've told you, Sheikh Fauzi was in prison, I think, 4 times, and 2 years here, 3 years here, 5 years here. But I want to remind you that this is the lot of many of the great shuyukh throughout history. And as you know, Ibn Taymiyyah died in prison. And you know why he died in prison? Because they were jealous. All the other shuyukh were so jealous of him. And I always like to promote him by telling you that one of the things they were so angry with him, not only that he would say things about shirk and kufr and actually tell you what it means, no, they didn't want any clarification. So all the majority, who are always wrong, by the way, hated him. But one of the things that he did was he would not accept 3 divorces in one. And he would say, no, you cannot do that. You cannot do what you all love to do. Here it is. Inti taliq, taliq, taliq. And they would make these 3 proclamations that you are now divorced, so get out of this house. Do you know that all of this is totally against what Allah says in Quran? 100%. Clearly, Allah tells you how you're supposed to divorce, and then how you're supposed to stay together in the same house, and how you should never be kicked out, and you should never be proclaimed 3 times that you divorce. You know what? I think I have to, because usually when we come out of Ramadan, and after all the fasting and praying, we really come out with a lot of energy. And I've had so many women say to me, you have to deal in women's issues. You have to do some more now. Your aqidah is good enough. We know enough. That's good enough. But we want you to tackle these legalese pseudo issues that are supposedly set in stone with the Arabs. Because they don't have women scholars. What do you think's going to happen? I don't know. If it seems like it's a pressing duty for me, I will. I will. Pray for me. Make dua for my family. I only have one son alive. He's 58. And he's not a Muslim yet. But if all of you make dua for him, his name is Jonathan. He's 58. He lives in New Hampshire. Could you mention him in your last nights of dua? Because you know, good people's dua get answered. Dua is salihin mustajab. But I don't know if it means answered for the other good ones that they're making it for, or could it be for those stubborn ones? Because that son has never listened to one of my lessons. He said he doesn't want to listen to them. And you know, I've been a Muslim now, 41 years. I'm still waiting. It's Ramadan, the last 10 nights. So this is my request to all those who listen to my channel. And I had wanted to just do a live or a reel or a short today, because I'm not planning to do with you my usual Quran and Tawheed. But as I sat out here on this porch, listening to the rain and watching the trees move in the white sky. Why is the sky white now? I don't know. Up north, that was like a sign that snow is coming. But really, the sky is totally white, and it's raining. I don't know. So I'll leave you now because it's 19 minutes, and I would appreciate if you could make that small reference to Jonathan, and if everyone does it, and Allah wants to. You know, they say in these times, you go to sleep a believer and you wake up a disbeliever, or you go to sleep a disbeliever and you wake up a believer. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.